This is Mining Scout on tour at the 2017 Diggers and Dealers Mining Forum in Kalgoorlie, Australia. I'm here today with Mr. Richard Bevan from Cassini Resources, which is a company listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. Welcome, Richard.
Great, thanks, Tony.
Richard, would you mind just starting by introducing, first of all, yourself and the company, and just give us a brief snapshot of the company and what the company's been doing?
Yeah, so my name's Richard Bevan. I'm the Managing Director, our founding Managing Director. We listed Cassini Resources in 2012 on the ASX. We're primarily an explorer and developer in the base metals space. So the company consists of myself, and my background is really out of managing and running a bunch of industrial companies, but also in resources in the last 5 or 6 years. Our chairman is Mike Young. Mike is a geologist who's well known in Australia for bringing BC iron through to production, from exploration to production in 4 years. And we have a board with some very good technical people. Dr. John Ronsky, who headed up Western Mining's global exploration team for a number of years. So we're a small explorer, but we've got very good skills in corporate management and also technical expertise in exploration and geology.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It sounds like a very good team you've got
Yeah,
there.
it's a good team.
Would you mind just elaborating on the share structure of Cassini?
Yeah.
And particularly some of the bigger shareholders?
Yeah, so Cassini, we've got about 276 million shares on issue. Our biggest shareholders are Macca Mining Services, or a mining services company in Australia, and also GR Engineering, who are a process engineering company. They came onto the register about 2 years ago on the basis of the project, that they wanted to be involved with the project going forward, so they've been great shareholders. Probably the next largest segment of shareholders are directors and management, so they tend to, we own just under 4% of the company.
Richard, could you just elaborate for us, please, on some of the strategies that Cassini has, and particularly the board, in developing the projects and taking those projects into production, please?
Yeah, Cassini, our primary project, is a very large nickel and copper sulfide project, and really that underpins our medium to longer term strategy. So currently it's a project that's in development stage where we have a large Australian copper producer funding in. So really the medium to longer term strategy on that is to take that project through development and own 30% in the end of a producing asset to provide money for dividends for shareholders, but also funds for exploration. The other strategy we have is a more short-term strategy around sort of exploration opportunity. Apart from the West Musgrave project, which does have a number of exploration opportunities, we've got some other greenfield exploration projects in gold and zinc that in the short term we can add some value to in our own right.
Great, okay. And Richard, the infrastructure around some of the projects there, is the infrastructure pretty good, or is it quite remote?
Yeah, the project is quite remote. It's a simple project technically. So for us, we would be providing our own power and producing a concentrate on site and trucking that concentrate out through an existing road. So we don't need to build significant infrastructure, but the project, I guess, the location of the project really has an impact on the economics, and we've now done enough work to know that the location is really not material to the project.
Could you mind elaborating on some of the milestones that Cassini has set for itself to reach production?
Yep.
And the time frame for those milestones, please?
Yeah, the milestones for the project are probably dictated around the joint venture agreement we have with Oz Minerals. So it's a 3-stage joint venture with them earning equity into the project at various points. So currently we're at the first stage of that, which is the scoping stage. That really has been where Oz Minerals have contributed $3 million, and primarily it's been around metallurgy and revisiting some of the engineering and processing studies. The key for this stage has really been to determine what's the optimal size of the project. The next phase we enter is the PFS phase, so that's where Oz are spending about $15 million on the project, plus $4 million on regional exploration, and that will occur during an 18-month period. So we would see that should start during Q4 this year, probably sort of later in November, and run for 18 months. At the end of that milestone, they earn their 51%, and then the final stage is a DFS stage, so there's a further $10 million to the study work, plus another 4 on regional exploration. So that whole time frame is really mapping out to get to a funding decision on the project, probably sort of 2.5 years from now.
Yep, that's a reasonable time frame for that size of project. Yeah, very good. And as far as funding is concerned, what would be the main strategies as far as ongoing funding for the exploration, and then of course with the development costs?
Yeah, so we're Cassini on the development front. Cassini are free carry through to that decision to mine. So that's all being funded by Oz. With respect to funding the company's other activities, we would tend to, in the past we've tended to do that through sort of the equity markets. Really, one of the benefits of running the study work as part of the joint venture is it keeps our cash requirement low from an overhead basis. We get some recoupment through the joint venture. So for us going forwards, the money that we spend is really determined around how much exploration we do in our own right on our other projects, which we intend to do. So that's really probably the requirement for capital. But apart from that, the capital requirements are relatively low.
Yeah, it's a great position to be in with those joint venture partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just in a nutshell, Richard, 3 to 5 years from now, where do you see Cassini, and what can investors look forward to in that time frame?
Yeah, I would hope in 3 to 5 years we're in, at the minimum of that 3 years we'd be in construction, and in 5 years we'd be a producer, and we'd be owning 30% of a significant nickel and copper project in Australia. I think that gives us the opportunity then to fulfil that value creation strategy of rewarding shareholders through dividends, but also funding our growth going forwards without continually going back to the market.
And do you see this as a good time for European investors to get involved at this early stage?
Absolutely. I think it's a great time for any investor. But I think there's a number of things that make this a good time. Firstly, the project is a really large-scale nickel and copper project. There are very few of those at development stage around the world. It's in an excellent jurisdiction. Western Australia always ranks highly in the Fraser Institute. It's a safe environment. It's in our backyard. We know it well. I think the other key thing is that as the nickel price has been subdued for the last couple of years, it's a great time to be developing. So, there's a lot of projects that are requiring a higher price nickel market to fund the development. We've now secured that through our joint venture partner, and the intention is really to develop during this period of lower commodity price and really position ourselves well for the next price rise in the nickel price cycle.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
Richard, the nickel market outlook, can you elaborate just in very general terms, the short to medium and then the longer term nickel outlook?
Yeah, look, I think we're very optimistic about the nickel market in the medium to longer term. There's going to be new demand come online through the electric vehicle and renewables market, of which nickel is a significant component in many of those aspects. We've seen some supply side challenges with what's going on in the Philippines and Indonesia with the nickel pig iron. And there's also a dearth of projects, especially of our scale and for our style. We see that really the fundamentals around nickel price in the medium to longer term are strong. In the short term, it's a very volatile commodity. I think the reality is we've developed a strategy that sort of insulates us from the short-term fluctuation by having a funding partner there. But we see we're very positive about the outlook for both nickel and copper going forwards.
Sure. And talking about positive things, you've had some positive news on your metallurgical test work today.
Yeah, we did. We had in this scoping phase, a key part of that was the metallurgy. It's one of the areas of these types of projects that can be problematic, so best to sort it out up front. And we've now shown, and we've got a high level of confidence around the metallurgy that we can produce a saleable concentrate. We've done a significant amount of testing through a variety of different ore types and domains within the deposit that give us a high level of confidence. So for us, it was a very big technical tick about the project. And the other key thing that, from a technical issue we've addressed in this scoping study was really the water for processing. We've confirmed now that there's enough water on tenement or on the project area that we can provide water to the processing. So, and once again, they were the two major technical hurdles that we had coming into the scoping study, and we've had positive outcomes in both of them.
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
well, Richard, it sounds as though you've certainly got some high technical capability there, and I know that investors throughout Europe will certainly look forward to following Cassini and hearing the news as it develops.
Yep.
And in the meantime, Mining Scout wishes to thank you for joining us today and wish you all the best in the future.
Thanks, David.